Hey, remember you was asking me if Hooters was the new stadium?
I don't recall.
I think we have the answer.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen,
I
would like to welcome you to the greatest show on podcast. I'm your host, Lee.
What else?
AKA Southside Lee on IG.
What else?
And I'm joined by my partner in pod.
Yes! Earlington Agustas the Great.
AKA
your baby mama's baby daddy.
AKA
Big Dog No Caddy.
AKA
Deep Sauce. And we are
3ThePodWay. Chumps.
Your success took a shot at it. What are you gonna do now? How you gonna kill it? You gonna become unsuccessful?
You goddamn right. Let's give it up for him.
yes.
What up, man?
What happened?
What happened to what?
Season 2, you supposed to like go in on your Diddy stuff all the whole time.
Yeah, so I had a line that was queued up. But
yeah, stage fright.
As I told you before, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Oh, hey, listen, you're not gonna keep talking to me like this, bro.
I'm over there.
You know what I'm saying? You just can't keep getting away with that.
I understand.
I have to defend myself at some time. At some point.
Hey, whenever you feel the need. Yeah. Hey, look, let's go ahead and skip the pleasantries. You know what? No, I won't do that to you.
Damn.
Hey, so guys, how have you been?
You didn't pay bills. You didn't like. Yeah, the guest host introduction.
Yeah,
you
just
right.
skipped. I'm all over the place. Let's introduce yourself.
Sesly Bwoi, aka the voice. What up?
Let's give it up for him.
Yeah. How does he keep coming? Who keeps inviting him?
Recurring invite.
Yeah. It's gonna get boring soon. Like, you know the guy that keeps coming through and like you like, yeah, it was cool.
Right.
Do the first game wave. Hey guys, I'm here. Hey,
yeah, like you gotta move and not tell them that you moved.
Right.
Like, y'all still doing the 3? Oh no. We chilled on that.
Yeah, we relaxed on all that.
No, hey, Sesly Bwoi, that's my man. You been
be the ones closest to you.
Hey, before we go any further, let's get a word from our sponsors.
Oh yeah.
Follow 3ThePodWay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chumps.
Sounds so beautiful, won't you agree?
3ThePodWay, love the kids.
Yeah. All right, man. Now that we got the business out the way,
to the foolishness.
So, yeah, man, how's your week been?
I don't think I have any fun updates. Let's see.
Because last week it was you had to find a new dinner.
Yeah.
So that was a situation.
That was interesting. Yeah. No, I'm good. I got my teeth clean.
Okay, that's good.
All right, here's the update. This is embarrassing. When you're a grown ass man,
right,
and you got multiple cavities,
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna blame that on not being like able to go to a dentist for a cleaning,
right?
Based
on the situation from before,
over a year and a
so
half,
it's their fault, yeah,
right. But not that I brush every day, and it's my responsibility. But yeah, multiple cavities. So they about to run it
left the last time 5 years ago. You didn't take heed.
Yeah, I haven't brushed my teeth since then.
Or floss,
right?
Because they give you the free pack, like 5 of them.
I ran through that in the first week, and after that,
so you didn't want to go to CVS aisle 5?
Nah, that's too expensive. I mean, floss is just like plastic. Why would you pay for that? It's like, a little.
Did you use the makeshift one at home?
But now, But now I got a $300 cavity filling bill.
Now that we probably assessed that Earl doesn't properly manage. Now that we assessed that he doesn't properly manage brushing his teeth. Hey, what's been going on with you, man?
Man, shoot, nothing really. Like I'm on the same boat. Nothing really exciting for real,
That's
man.
Boring.
So this is interesting. Y'all both said nothing interesting has happened other than probably the most polarizing moment.
I didn't know if we want to go down that route.
I didn't know. Is that not interesting?
Do you want to go there? I didn't know if we wanted to go there.
Yeah,
Are we that type of podcast?
I mean, we don't have to like do a deep.
Well, let's go.
Are we even capable of doing a deep dive?
We're transparent here. Okay. We're not gonna say anything. I don't think that hasn't been said already.
Okay, right.
See, like, how do we even present this as though it's something that they don't know about?
Everyone knows.
Right. Everybody knows what we're talking about, right?
The week of January 8th, guys.
Right. So, so you want to?
No, you do it. I don't want to do this.
This week, protesters
Whoa, bring it back.
Right.
This is what I'm here for. I'm doing my job. You do your job.
Right.
Bring it back. Run that again. Start over.
There you go. You're right. A vicious mob of what do they call them? Insurgents.
Domestic terrorists.
Yeah, domestic terrorists Thugs. Decided to infiltrate, and that's what it was. Infiltrate one of the most secure buildings, or supposedly one of the most secure buildings in the world,
right?
Which is the U.S. Capitol, where the electoral college vote was actually being conducted, which caused representatives and senators to have to
shelter in place
right. under the imminent threat of who knows what, because they never made contact. No one actually knows, but again, this mob did overtake the Capitol Police,
right?
And a lady was shot and killed at this point, so she died.
Condolences to the fam.
A U.S. Capitol Police officer has died.
Condolences
and there were 3 other people that also passed away during this melee.
Right.
Praise to the families,
medical conditions or whatever the case is.
Right. That was incited initially by at this point you got to call it a hate speech by the President of the United States. Co-signed by other members of the Senate and by his son.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then the lack of adequate response to this mob while it's going on. Right. And we're all watching this real time, mind you.
Yeah.
It was
surreal for sure.
Right. And even we some of us have seen the movie like White House Down,
right?
Olympus Has Fallen,
yeah.
And we all said, you know what, these movies are exaggerations.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Never happen.
This could never happen.
No, I didn't think about that, yo.
What didn't happen
when life imitates art?
When life imitates art, because that happened in those movies.
That's right? I didn't see it.
You would have never thought that you would have saw that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And then see that. To make matters worse, now mind you, we're condensing what actually happened. I mean, this occurred over hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'll give credit to the Senate and the House for coming back that night and finishing the work that needed to be done.
Dogs.
Right. But this is where I was going with that. So this is happening, and this mob of insurgents walked back out.
Yeah.
After infiltrating the Capitol, walked back out as though they left their lunch and they went back to go get it, and then they left as a result with their lunch.
It felt like a huge tour of the of the Senate. Right. Like, you know, when you get the White House tours, you get to walk through.
This is the West Wing.
You see the line out. It looked like an unruly line.
Now, not to get too serious. I mean, there's going to be touch and go moments, I guess, talking about this. And mind you, we said we weren't going to talk about this,
but we did.
But we're here now.
Right. You're a liar.
So, coming from Alabama, the Confederate flag means something specific to a minority, specifically a black person from Alabama. The Confederate flag represents something very specific, a time and a mindset.
Gotcha.
Forever etched in history now will be a symbol of a gentleman walking through the U.S. Capitol with a large Confederate flag in 2021.
I mean, in a word, it's a symbol of hate. Right. I mean, correct. That's what, and you correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth.
No, absolutely. And so to now have that be the case, and we saw that, and it's going to be an image that not only will I'll have a hard time unseeing that. It's now potentially can be used as a symbol for them to continuously put in front of you.
Oh, for sure.
Constantly remind you
Look of what we did. Look at our triumph.
Right. And what we were able to actually accomplish.
Oh, boy.
Meanwhile, over the course of the summer, you weren't able to get within a block of what you were trying to demonstrate in front of. Right. So what are your thoughts on that? Like I say, I know we said we weren't going to talk about it, but what are your thoughts?
When I saw this happening, and when I thought of this, I always think back to, or I thought back to those uncomfortable conversations you have at work with colleagues during the BLM demonstrations over the summer, and the word privilege always pops up, right, and from those who maintain or have this privilege, there is no such thing, right? Oh, we don't see it, and you present example after example of what the privilege is, but sometimes those are historic, right? Historic in nature. So it's not real. Right. You know, they can't see it. I couldn't help but think like, damn, I still wish I worked there and I could present this. You know what I mean? Like as petty as that is, that was my hope. Like, man, this would have been a perfect time to you know, present this example. 2 weeks ago, this happened. And now today, you know, the complete opposite, the complete different response. It's the same police officers. It's not like they switched the whole force over the week. So where's that level of aggression? Did they get it all out over the summer? They ran out. they were
They ain't
spent.
got no more.
Yeah, so it's like privilege is the word that I just kept seeing as I'm watching this happen, right?
Right. And did you have something to interject?
So I think to that point too, as far as like having those conversations with individuals that you share the same workspace with to speak, right? Or just in that general professional setting, right? It's that for us, especially for me, like I work from home, so when the situations when I guess both situations was happening, COVID was hitting. Right. So I was at home working from my office. I mean, from my home office or whatnot. So the opportunity for that to even possibly come up wasn't there at that moment, obviously, because we're all from home. So I'm thinking if we were at work, because it happened during work hours too. It happened 12, 1 o'clock. So it's like, I just fathom like, yo, what would that conversation really be like? Like, how would they describe that?
And then there's also the awkward portion of what if someone says something in support of what's going on in the office space?
What would response be?
Which some people get a little, they become unaware of where they are. They don't read the room and they speak as though they're at home and they say something that offends someone or someone's, right? A group of people. And now you got to deal with that, to your point, real time, right? Something that I found extremely interesting was a dialogue between a news correspondent and a guest. And the 25th Amendment came up and impeachment came up. And so the question was, do you support Donald Trump being impeached or having the 25th Amendment invoked at this point? And the individual kind of gave a very flat answer, in essence equating to no. And so the news correspondent, which I thought, and I'm glad he said it, he was like, well, if not now, under these circumstances, then what would it really take for people people to feel like we need to do something about this? The fact that, let me tell you how far we've come. People think that a Facebook ban equates to being impeached.
And Twitter. That's the nature of what's going on right now, though, actually. Because
Twitter today banned him indefinitely.
They said, I think I read someone that said they banned him indefinitely, but he removed the tweets that will allow him back into to be able to tweet.
The one I saw was matter of factly. It was indefinitely. Like you'll never see. He'll never have another.
He'll just
Twitter
create
account.
a new account. Right?
He could do that too.
The real or the real Donald Trump,
or he could just use his sons. I mean, yeah,
right.
Yeah. But again, just to show you how far things have come, like this was on the same news broadcast as the actual event itself.
Talking about
Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO, bans Donald Trump. That was a story. That just lets you know. Story, yeah, mind you, this is we still have COVID.
We're talking about the 25th Amendment, and y'all talking about
and we talking about
Twitter
Facebook.
and Facebook.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like as far, and that goes to show the power of social media, though. Right. Because when you look at it throughout, and I think it's probably throughout his whole presidency, he's been using social media to propagate his agenda, right? Indirectly or directly.
And that's what they were saying, right? Like, but this has been the play from the beginning, and these are not new remarks, right? These inflammatory remarks and conversations. This is not new stuff. So why now? A lot of this stuff to me is like lame duck, right? So you want to resign from your cabinet position now? Right. What does that mean? you decide that you don't want to be the first lady's communications director anymore.
Right.
What does that mean?
2
What does
weeks
that mean?
left.
Yeah,
Well,
what does that
You
mean?
get the
left.
opportunity to say you
I'm
saw
against
something that
exactly.
that you didn't agree with, and to your constituents, you get to prove like, oh no, I made a change.
And that's what's interesting about this too. Like we won't, for the
As
sake of,
superficial
for
as
the
it
sake of
is,
this
right?
podcast, we won't make it a race thing. But you can surmise everything that you've done and been a part of, and you can say, "But I left."
Right,
And you talked
right,
about this.
right.
You can erase all of it
that's a
and
factual
say,
thing.
"I left." Right. And that's what you'll be held to. You'll be
Right.
held to. You left. Oh yeah, well you did the right thing.
Yeah.
This
right?
whole thing's a chess match, though.
Never
bro.
mind
That's
the
all the best
enabling, the coddling,
Right.
the silent support that has been given for the better part of 3 years, and we can go back even further than that if you
Right.
consider there was a
The
campaign
campaign,
before that
right.
that you were a part of. So what does that mean? What does that mean anything to you?
because they didn't see the smoke. They didn't blow up right when they were doing it, or when.
When you say they didn't
Yeah,
see the
who
smoke,
was
who was
they?
they?
Speaking towards you saying the people resigning from their positions,
Yeah.
under his cabinet or supporting him or whatever
It
the
was
case
a
is.
fire, bro. I think they had to see it, right?
I would have to agree.
No, but I'm saying like as far as this insurgence that happened this week,
okay.
it didn't blossom into this world renowned. Everybody sees it like, oh, this is California wildfire. We can't stop it.
Okay.
Hold on. Do you mean the actual event itself?
Yes.
No, they did.
What do you mean?
There have been context clues, very blatant clues dropped for weeks now.
Okay,
about this rally and what
Okay.
they were
Oh, yeah, I see
intending
what
to
you're
do.
saying. Okay.
And it just wasn't taken as seriously,
Seriously.
right?
That's what I'm saying. Until the rubber hits the road, you're not gonna take, a tweet or a post or like a comment to fruition until you actually see it. So
But
when they
that's
see it,
the reason
Yeah,
why
but
that's
that's their
interesting to
job
me.
to do that, I think.
True. But the reason more so why that's interesting to me, and I'm glad you said it that way, because I think other people see it that way too, right? Why that's extremely interesting is what was the provocation? What was the provocation for Black Lives Matter? For them to take that type of stance on Black Lives Matter. Then?
They prepared
Right.
for y'all.
Right. So what was the provocation there that didn't exist for this one?
That's their job to be prepared for. You over prepare for events like this.
Absolutely.
because they feel like historically it's more so of a situation that they got to prepare for because they think it's going to end up being nonviolent.
They
I mean,
hope. They hope.
yeah,
right?
They hope.
You
That's what I'm saying.
right.
They, and that's what they're preparing for. And then, like I said, I'm not supporting whatever, but obviously,
Right.
optics, right?
Right.
And in this essence, right? Because I can't tell. I mean, you see it in the movies and stuff like that. And it's ironic, man. I just finished watching Manhunter on Netflix about the Atlanta Olympic bombing.
Right.
And how Bama was like supporting like the same situation, like people that call themselves quote unquote patriots or whatever the case
Right.
is, supporting these idealistic movements or whatever, right? And like I support you, I'm with you, till it blows up in their face. So now I see it in the sense like it's the same situation, almost symmetrically the same way. How that went in that show is how it's coming out right now, and it's like, yo, they're supporting it, but then it's like now it's like, and I feel like that's probably why some of them, tuck tail and run now because it's before this blows up.
So I've mentioned a couple times, and you haven't seen it yet, but I tell people who have seen the show House of Cards. Again, an exaggeration,
Dope show.
but
I've heard so much.
there
about
are
it.
similarities
Yeah, I've heard so
to
much about it.
what happened in that show to what's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's very eerie. The word that
Right,
you used
right,
was
right.
eerie, right? It's very eerie. Some of the parallels that exist in that show that seem to be playing out now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, again, one of those things.
And hold on, before you go,
Yeah.
you said something earlier that was interesting,
My
right?
bad.
Like a keyword you may not have known, chess, right? You said it's a chess match,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as a chess player,
Are you good?
yeah, I was ranked, but that's true. Yeah, I mean, I did what I did. I was ranked, not nationally, but I was
Streetwide.
ranked.
I mean,
Yeah, I was
hey,
ranked.
street cred though.
I was ranked locally. But I posed a question like with the 25th Amendment, right? Would that chess move, right, for them to invoke that or use that, would it make him more powerful, a martyr of sorts, right? Like, would that
it would
increase his influence? Would that be riskier, right?
It turns him into the victim.
The victim, right? Would that be riskier for them to do that? So,
well, then also too, and mind you, I don't know the law. I don't know it to the letter of the law, but it basically, in essence, gives power to Mike Pence to now be, in essence, act as the president, right?
If he was to be impeached,
right? Which now then gives him the opportunity to pardon Trump,
which I think he would,
right? Which is not ideally. So that's why impeachment makes more sense. But then to actually drive the point home, Congress will have to reconvene, change the constitutional law to say a impeached president cannot be elected president again.
I got you.
Because right now the law, the way it's written, says you can. You can be impeached and run again.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you can be. I mean, literally, it says that you can be impeached and run again.
2024 is that's
crazy
soon.
though. Like,
and you got to think about it. There's still 70 million people that voted for him. The fact that, and I was explaining to Earl, the fact that he was able to provoke a crowd enough to do something that mentally you almost would have to be crazy to do. Yeah. He didn't convince one person to do it. He convinced thousands to do something that almost from what we thought is a suicide mission.
Right.
He convinced them to go on a suicide mission.
Government and building during the live session.
Probably more. They just weren't either financially capable.
They couldn't get there.
Right. They didn't get it logistically correct or physically.
So let me frame this up for you. Peaceful minority protesters were met with the wrath of God from a defense standpoint. Mm-hmm. A gentleman on a casual Tuesday is dressed with no shirt on, buffalo gear, and a helmet with horns, and that's not a threat. Now, to me, from a security standpoint, this is out of place.
You just don't like his fashion sense.
If I don't do anything with anything else, I'm going to isolate this because it's so out of place.
The horns weren't fired though?
This gentleman was able to, this specific gentleman was able to make it to the Senate floor and sit in the same seat that just an hour before the vice president of the United States was sitting in.
It was a Nancy Pelosi seat. Left her a love note saying, "I'll be back."
No, it said, "We will not back down."
Yeah,
and then he took
feet up.
He took an envelope. He actually was interviewed the next day.
No, he did. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. He was interviewed the next day and showed the letter he took. Now, today he was arrested in Arkansas.
I heard, yeah.
But what does that mean now?
So to that point, right? Like, not to disclose any professions or anything, right? But security briefings, the disclosure of government documents is considered what?
Sounds like a felony.
I mean, I think so, right?
I wouldn't know. Sounds like treason.
Sounds like treason.
Something, right?
Treason, yeah.
I saw a video of a young lady walking through the chambers of where they do the votes with their phone taking pics. No face covering. I want to be I'm interested to see what will happen to her. Because, like I said, those briefings specifically state leaving out of secured domiciles with government information is considered.
I do have two issues with both of you. Y'all not categorizing these people properly.
I was waiting for that. I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose.
A young lady.
Oh, yeah.
A rioter.
That's how I was raised.
Thugs.
That's how I was raised.
Keep it consistent.
Criminals.
Keep it consistent.
I got you.
Yeah.
Let's use the same language.
Nah, you 100% right. And
I apologize.
And that's good that you're catching that. You're 100% right.
He's not a gentleman.
Yeah,
he's an aggressive man.
Right.
If anything,
an aggressive man.
Yeah. Not just
that's
made
different.
that up.
No, you did. Hey, go back to English class.
But let's categorize them properly. Man.
Yeah, man. Just to say, man, it's been a wild week.
So to further insult your intelligence,
you talking about
all of us, as a whole.
Okay.
To further insult your intelligence, they have the audacity to put up on the breaking news ticker, 65 people arrested.
No.
65,000?
I'm about to say, you missing some zeros on it.
They put 65 people, or whatever the number was, 56, 65, whatever the number was, people arrested as a result of the riots. But I'm literally sitting here watching thousands.
We could count 65 people who
in the one frame.
Right.
But I heard some of them was more so for the curfew.
Oh, right. That probably makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
The curfew.
Exactly.
Not the ones that broke the window.
Well, that's a crime.
Not the ones that
breaking the curfew
broke through the door that was barricaded with the agents with the guns drawn.
Clearly protecting something, right?
There's something important back there. I don't know what's behind that door, but the guns are drawn though. But none of them.
Yeah.
I mean, to say, I don't know for sure, but just speaking, like, bruh.
So even and again, I know we weren't trying to like really go this route.
Right.
But even as we're telling this story again, the fact that I'm calling it a story, as though this wasn't real life, just 3 days ago, and how bad this actually could have been.
Yeah.
See, even that, people died, right? So it just would have been potentially more casualties. And what would have happened if they actually reached the Senate floor before those senators and House of Representatives?
It would have been bad.
Like, who knows what would have actually happened if a confrontation actually would have had to take place?
So I guess if you're not boots on the ground, we won't know, right? But like, I'm trying to figure out, like, I guess kudos to the security team for them to get the government officials out and secured and safe, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, to that point, like, what if they did get in without, but they got as far as the door,
right? They were there,
and people were still in there,
right? Yeah.
That's what it just boggles my mind that, like you said, like this, we're actually witnessing live, like streaming, people streaming on their phone, streaming wherever, and like this is legit happening. And
I mean, we even saw the one image of the I don't know if they were. I'm gonna highly doubt that was Secret Service, Capitol Police, actually opening the barricade to allow the infiltration.
Yeah, like, it was almost begs the question: what was the order? Right? It felt like
it's like, yo,
stand down,
stand down. Like, yo, they do what they do. If they coming through, because I feel like, I mean, devil's advocate, I feel like, I don't know if he's trying to pick it up.
Well, no, let's ask this: what is the thought process as this thing is swelling? Because we're at home watching this thing grow. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sitting there watching it getting uncomfortable. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it, because mind you, there was one camera angle at first.
So imagine being a police officer,
like
just a segment,
a side of the Capitol, right? Which was like the east wing, I think they were saying, right? But then when they showed these aerial views, I'm like, wait a minute,
it was deep. They were deep.
It was thousands of people out there, and this thing didn't start like that. This thing was growing, and the crowd progressively went from here to closer and closer and closer. So what is the conversation as this thing is swelling? Right?
But to that point though, right? Because speaking to like the what do you call it? The people coming to support that, right? Like the reinforcements. Sorry.
Right.
Those
backup rioters?
Yeah. No. The reinforcements, law enforcement. Yeah.
Okay,
a lot of them don't get displaced or put out until the president says so.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So the National Guard didn't get there till what?
Because
5-6 hours later.
For those that don't know, those buildings have their own police, which is the U.S. Capitol Police.
Got you.
So even though they're in the district, they don't fall under the district's jurisdiction.
Okay.
And actually, Muriel Bowser actually put out that she submitted a I don't know if it's a request or what you would call it officially, but she requested that now be transferred over to the mayor of DC to have the autonomy to order the National Guard and to
especially in those situations, because like you said, those are presidential mandates, and you've seen in this situation, this was in support of the sitting president.
Right.
So it's like, damn, do I snitch on my cousin?
Whew.
Right.
That's
like, hey, go get my cousin from down. He acting up.
President
or like,
set a new precedent.
Right.
Damn. Drop it. Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
These y'all people, man.
But I mean, again, we didn't want to do this.
On to a lighter note.
You know what? I don't even think we can at this point. So, I mean, 30 minutes in, we're here now.
Right.
What is your takeaway or takeaways from this overall?
Very clearly, two Americas.
Right. Okay. And what are those two Americas?
I don't have to say them. You know which one you belong to.
Okay.
It goes without saying. You can paint your own picture because it varies a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though we share the same
views and everything,
culture, image, we look the same. My different America, the one that I live in, is still slightly more privileged.
Right.
Than somebody that does look like me.
That's facts.
Right?
Damn.
Right.
That's deep.
But then there's a completely different America for people who don't look like me. I'm still part of mine, but I
see what you're saying there. Yeah.
I do benefit from some privileges that other people in my America still don't get. So
educated.
It's not the same picture.
That's important.
It's a little bit of
different. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. But there are definitely two for sure.
How about yourself?
My takeaway from this, man, is damn. Because at this point, to what we spoke to earlier, man, it's like, how do you have these conversations moving forward?
Right.
Or do these conversations even happen?
Right.
Because sometimes the best defense is avoidance.
Right.
For some.
Right.
Because to avoid the conversations and say, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
Like, dang, I didn't know you felt that way. Because when you're faced with looking in the mirror and seeing yourself or seeing something similar to you doing something that is viewed as negligence or something, inherently violent or anything like that of that nature, it's damn. Right. Like you feel like, what do I do now?
Right.
Because now I'm looked at as a part of the problem. And then how do you speak to that?
Right.
Right. And then I had a conversation with some friends earlier this week, and speaking of, it's like, how do you have those conversations with those people in those situations, those atmospheres, or those, realms of influence? How do you have those conversations? Because do you get mad at them because they don't address it?
Right.
Or do you get mad at them because they are addressing it and they're not really knowing what it is that your viewpoint is? Like, it's different.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting about this one specifically, right? I don't think this one will be viewed as, if you're not of the same races as these individuals that we're being presented, I don't think this one is going to be viewed from a high level as something that would affect you.
And
that conversation is not. I don't foresee that happening. Even though we're sitting here, obviously we're affected by it because of the messaging that it sends.
Right.
The dichotomy in that, though.
Right. But that conversation, I don't think will happen.
Okay.
Which again points to being tone deaf, right? Because now the potential frustration, the potential rage that some people will feel. I have friends that work in the government that are now questioning whether or not they want to continue their service as a result of this, right? Because they're like, okay, I mean, how many times do you have to show me that I'm not the same? How many times do we have to go through this? And every time I have to get up, dust myself off, and calm my nerves,
and report to work,
as though these things don't happen.
Don't bother me. Don't happen.
Right.
Because it's just called, and it's tough to say, dog. Because like, it sucks, right? Because to that point, right, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, right? Because you have to put the pride that you have to swallow so much to not react, in the way that you may. Not even 110% feel obligated to do. You have to bite that bullet because 1, you got a family to live for.
Right.
2, you got a life to maintain.
Right.
You have other people depending on you. So it's just like, at this point, like, is me speaking up to this moment or this situation, worth the ramifications? Because regardless of whatever it is, right or wrong or indifferent, it's gonna come at you,
right?
And 10 times out of 10, it hit us harder than it hits everybody else,
right?
Yeah, what's interesting about that, like, you mentioning it, I feel like that's been something that we've had to deal with historically forever, right?
Forever. Yeah.
And if I'm being real, like unfortunately now I have a story to tell my daughter. You know what I mean? My son, my grandkids, like because these were stories that my mom lived
last
through.
Couple of years.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She lived through and told me and my family. But now it's like, damn, I thought, oh man, y'all had it rough. That was different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, nah, it's not like that anymore. I can remember saying that in high school to my mom, right? It's not like that anymore. It's different.
Right.
But now I got a whole new set of stories that I get to share.
So to that point, I'm glad you said that. So and not to do a deep dive on it now, but how will this story be told historically?
Right.
Right.
That's a good
because it's told by who writes that book.
When we came up,
history's not in schools no more.
And as I've gotten older, I realized that we were only taught slavery. We got George Washington Carver. Who else did we get?
Du Bois.
W.B. Du Bois.
We got Banneker.
Right, Benjamin Banneker. So we got a couple.
We got a couple of
Madam C.J. Walker, depending upon what environment you're in.
A few stories of trial.
But you're mostly taught slavery, right? And the civil rights movement.
And then you get a whole bunch of those.
Right. So now, will story include Obama? Damn. Will the story include situations like this? Will it include the Black Lives Matter movement? How historically, how will this go down in history? I think is important. Right, because people tend to operate off of what history has shown. Right. So how will this be? It's something I thought about. Some random thought.
That's deep.
We're gonna close out. Let's get a word in from our sponsors.
Follow 3ThePodWay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And normally,
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Sorry, I jumped.
Chumps.
Normally we would end this with something casual, like our one thing for sure, two things for certain. But on this one, we're gonna do it a little differently. Simply put, dear America, do better. 3ThePodWay.